I'm using a variety of sizes of popsicle sticks to make mini birdhouses. For my first birdhouse shape, I'm using this scrap that's angled on one end. To cut this 45-degree angle, I could make multiple passes on a cutting mat with a craft knife, but I'll be using my miter shears. These two angled pieces will be the side walls of my birdhouse. I also cut a flat front and a short back. My next birdhouse will have flat sides and an angled front. To cut the angled front, I drew a straight line across the popsicle stick with a vertical line in the middle. I'm cutting from each side to create a point in the center. To make the back, I traced the shape and cut it out. The sides are simple straight pieces. I'm using a jumbo popsicle stick and sketching an asymmetrical house shape. Coming up with 5 different shapes for my birdhouses was a really fun creative part. I traced the shape to create the back piece and had one short wall and one taller wall. Even though my two walls are different heights, they're the same length as one another to make sure the inside of the birdhouse is square. I'm cutting a classic birdhouse shape with slightly angled sides and a shallow pitched roof. Cutting a straight line across the top of the roof makes it easier to remove the two side pieces without cracking the popsicle stick. I used a standard size popsicle stick for the sides and a standard size popsicle stick for my 5th and final birdhouse. I'm cutting a 45-degree angle across the top and then changing the fence on my miter shears to cut the length of the popsicle stick. These will be the front and back pieces. I'm using a skinny stick from Walmart for the two side pieces. The birds need to get into these houses, so I'm using a drill to cut the holes. I tried to drill my first hole on camera, but it was completely off center. I'll use this messed up piece as the back. I sketched the position of the new holes and used scrap wood as a backer to cut them off camera. I'm using a combo of an emery board and a cheap round file from Harbor Freight to clean up the holes. I'll be adding tiny posts using sewing pins for the birds to perch on, so I'm drilling a small hole using a pin vise drill. This birdhouse has angled sides, so I'm adding the hole to the front. For my asymmetrical birdhouse, I'm centering the hole underneath the peak of the roof. If you don't have a drill, you could use a black marker to paint a dot or cut out pieces of black paper. I cut a hole in each birdhouse front, then cleaned up the edges of all of my pieces. I'm assembling the front and sides of each birdhouse using wood glue. I'm gluing the sides of each birdhouse to the front and capping it off with the back piece. I'm not gluing the side pieces on the side of the front, but on the back. I assembled all of the 5 birdhouses this way and painted each a different color with acrylic paint. You could draw some designs with markers or cut images from magazines, but I'm using cheap nail art stickers to decorate the front of my birdhouses. The stickers come on this clear backing, which helped me plan my positioning. I used either some sharp tweezers or the tip of my craft blade to grab a sticker. I'm pressing down the stickers after placement so they don't easily pop off, but they are still repositionable at this stage. These flowers have subtle accents of blue, so I think they look nice on this house. Some pieces of these stickers are overlapping the hole I drilled, so I'm using my sharp craft knife to cut any excess out of the center. I'm going for a color-drenched look on this little yellow house by adding a whole bunch of yellow flowers. These tall stems weren't quite tall enough, so I'm overlapping the stickers and cutting the excess off the bottom. For this house, I added tall stems to the bottom and bright flowers at the top. Then I discovered these stickers and decided to switch up my design. I removed all of the stickers from the bottom and placed them back on the sheet to be reused later. Tell me which you prefer, the old design or the new design. For the perches, you could use some toothpicks or wire, but I'll be using sewing pins. I keep my scraps in this cheap magnetic dish meant for mechanics. I pushed the pin through the hole and secured it from the inside using some super glue. I'm adding baking soda so the super glue will cure immediately. You could also just wait for the super glue to dry, but this makes a nice strong bond. Before this step, I painted the back walls black, so if you look through the hole I drilled, all you'll see is darkness. I hadn't attached the roofs before now to make painting the birdhouses easier and to secure the pins from the inside. To trim my pin to length, I'm holding it with a clip and cutting it so the little end doesn't go flying. You could also attach tape to the end. I'm painting each of the perches black with black acrylic paint. Once the paint is dry, I'm sealing the entire birdhouse using some matte Mod Podge. This helps seal the stickers in place and eliminates the shiny outline that shows the edges of them. I'm ready for the roofs, so I'm staining them using some antique wax from Waverly. I'm adding color to the front and the backs. This product covers better if it's watered down, but I don't want to warp these thin pieces of wood. I determined the size of my roof pieces just by eyeballing it, then sanded the cut ends. Wood glue takes a bit longer to dry, and you may have to tape it down while it dries to prevent warping. To speed up the process, I used super glue for the rest of the pieces. Now that my pre-stained pieces are attached, I'm coming back in with a small paintbrush to touch up the cut ends. I think it's easier and tidier to do touch-up paint rather than try to stain these pieces in place. Tell me your top 3 favorite birdhouses and watch this video next if you enjoy watching me make miniatures out of everyday items.